Welcome back to Sydney Spin, everybody. We're Big Ten edition. This is going to be the most exciting week of Big Ten regular season because after these three games, a champion will be crowned for the Big Ten 2024 title. And let me run through the quick standings and where they are before the last weekend of regular season play. You have Iowa and Michigan State at the bottom with 4 wins, Maryland with 5, Illinois with 6, Wisconsin with 8, Ohio State standing alone at 10. And then this is where it gets interesting. 3 teams are tied with 11 and 9 records. Purdue, Penn State, Indiana, Nebraska's ahead of them with having 1 fewer loss due to game 3 this past weekend against Northwestern being canceled. Minnesota and Rutgers are at 12 and 8. And we have to shout out Rutgers because this has been a historic season for them. Rutgers with their most Big Ten wins ever in program history. So they're rewriting the narrative there. And then at the top, neck and neck, is Northwestern and Michigan. And after the Wildcats won their first 2 games against Nebraska this past weekend, they were down going into the top of the 5th, and then weather came through, delaying them for 4-5 hours on Saturday. Tried again on Sunday. Were pushed back to 2 weather delays until ultimately the game had to be canceled. But on the other hand, Michigan has been on a tear since their trip to Evanston, being absolutely perfect and pushing it to be a neck-and-neck race at the finish. So we cannot talk Michigan softball without bringing one of their biggest power hitters on. Keke Tholl, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Sydney.
I need to tell them a little bit about your numbers because you are having an insane year. 14 home runs. What I love about your team, it's this perfect mix of speed at the top and then power. I mean, it's like such a dynamic lineup 1 through 9. But what I want to talk to you about, there's been this sense of belief around your team. I have watched you guys had more walk-off wins, I swear, than any other team. And I just know you guys are going to do it. There's something in your eye, and you could just feel the confidence you guys have in one another. Talk to me. What is it like being in the dugout and with this team in these moments?
Yeah, I think keeping our cool is the biggest thing. Bonnie always talks about momentum is our belief. And so just making sure that momentum always stays on our side. And there's never a doubt in my mind. We have put in so much work, and my teammates are dogs. They're really good. And each one of them can get the job done. And I think that's what's so great about our team is that any single person can come off that bench or be in the game and make us win the game. So I just think I don't know how to explain it, but there's never any doubt in my mind because we put in the work and we all give our all on the field.
So did that confidence come right away at the beginning of the season, or is it something that you guys have really grown throughout the year and within these last few weeks, it's now all of a sudden you're the team that you know is going to show up in the 7th inning?
Yeah, I think that's what we really wanted our identity to be. And I think at the beginning of the season, we were trying for it, but we were just falling short. And I think each and every weekend we've just continued to just raise the bar and raise the standard. And it started to go our way. And I think we're just continuing to grow in that area and make it our identity.
What was a series that changed it, a weekend that changed it, that really the belief started to buy in around the team?
I think, that's hard because I think every weekend we've come out and we're like, okay, if we have an out, we have a chance. I think definitely the weekend in Evanston was really tough on a lot of us. But it happens. You're not always going to be perfect, and we took what we could from that weekend, and we learned from our mistakes. And I just think that it really just starts in practice. I mean, every practice we practice going hard, playing for each other. And I really can't pinpoint a specific weekend because I think all year we've really just been working for it, and it's finally coming to its fruition for us. So, yeah.
You talk about you can't be perfect. Nobody can, but your team has basically been that besides that one weekend in Evanston. Obviously, a tough weekend, but what was the message on the ride back home to Ann Arbor of being like, look, we still have a shot. Look where you guys are now. Like, you are in complete contender spot to take the title by this weekend, potentially.
Yeah, I think no one was happy heading back to Ann Arbor that weekend. And I think we all had to take a step back and think about what we could change, what we could do better for each other. And I think we all made a promise to each other that like we're just going to do it for each other. I'm going to give you my energy, all my energy. Even if I'm having a bad game, it doesn't matter because I can look to my left or to my right and I'm going to give my energy to you because I know you're going to pick me up. And I think a big thing we say on our team is I got your back. So if someone strikes out, someone makes an error, that next person's like, "Hey, I got you. Like don't worry about it." And I remember when Maddie Ramey hit the walk-off, Bonnie came in and told us a story that Ellis Stevenson went up to Maddie Ramey and said, "Thanks for having my back." And she's like, "Dude, I got you." And to me, that was like the coolest thing ever because, yeah, what happened? Steve ended up being out in the game, but Maddie Ramey hit that walk off for us. And like I said, anybody can come off that bench and do it for us. So I think it's awesome.
I have chills. I love that story. And a lot of that, the relationships that are shining through have been built the last how many months. And I think that's what people often don't realize is that trust doesn't just happen on the field. It's created at practice, off the field. Talk to me about this team dynamic, the relationship that you guys have with each other in the game, and then when you guys are outside the lines.
Yeah, I think this team, I think a lot of our trust and chemistry really grew, honestly, outside of softball, spending football Saturdays with each other and just hanging out and getting to know each and every one of us outside of the lines. And I think that's just been so cool because all of us come from different backgrounds, different home lives, and just seeing how all of our personalities mesh together is just amazing to me. And I when softball's all done and over with, like I know these are my girls for life. And yeah, it's just great. I'm so grateful to be on a team with people who are so loving and fun to be around and make everything so lighthearted. Like, yes, we're at softball and it is our job, it's our business, like get the job done, win the games, but they make it 10 times more enjoyable when they're fun, lighthearted, great to be around people.
If you guys are having an off weekend, what is your team doing it? How are you guys spending it together? I love learning about what teams enjoy doing with one another.
Yeah, I think a lot of our team likes the outside, so like pickleball or spike ball. We're
Does it
really
get competitive? I need to know.
100%. Um, we also like to have like little bonfires. Like our sophomores live in an apartment complex that has like a little pit and stuff. So like we go hang out there. Our team's really big into playing cards. I know it's like a big Michigan thing, but euchre, a lot of people love playing it. We play that on the road a lot. Sometimes we just like watching different shows and movies together. It's kind of a mix of things, and it's just fun to be around and fun to make memories.
When you're doing the campfire, are you a s'mores girl?
I'm 100% a s'mores girl for
Is
sure.
it Hershey chocolate for you, or is it like Reese's peanut butter cup with the marshmallow and graham cracker?
I'm a Hershey's chocolate, but the better question is, are you like a burnt to the crisp kind of girl, or are
Oh
you like, I'm
gosh.
gonna put it over and like golden brown it?
I have so many thoughts on this. I am a golden brown. I will wait out the fight of how many minutes I will not burn it, and if I burn it, I need to restart.
I love
What are you? I'm curious.
I'm a burnt to the crisp, so I like
Oh,
just put it right in the fire, and then it's on fire, and I spin it around so it gets the whole marshmallow, and then I blow it out, and I'm like, perfect, I'm done.
perfect. All right, so we would be great together in a bonfire because when I mess it up, I could just give it to you.
Exactly.
I love that. I want to talk about you and your journey in getting to Michigan. You're from Illinois, but I think one of the coolest stories is obviously when people look at your last name, it's in connection to head coach Bonnie Tholl. Was it always Michigan for you in knowing that?
Yeah, I think growing up, my dream school was always to come to Michigan. Um, there was a little point in like my recruiting process where I did have a little doubt, and I was told like maybe Division 1 really isn't for you, and that kind of really broke my heart. But I
Which
think
is
I
crazy. Look at what you're doing now. That's crazy. Whoever said that, anyways, how do you come back to something like that? Like when you were told that, how mental toughness, like how are you able to get through it? And you still remember it, obviously, to this day. How much does that inspire you to just keep proving that I'm right here and I'm doing it well?
yeah, I think I think it's always been something that's always fueled my fire. I would say how I got through it. I was definitely pretty bummed, pretty upset. Like at that age when I had found out too, a lot of kids were already getting recruited because it was the old recruiting rule. So you could commit when you were eighth grade freshman year. And I was definitely like a late bloomer kid. And I remember I was really upset, and a week went by, and my parents, like, in my family, are my biggest support system ever, and I love them so much. They've sacrificed so much for me. And my dad had like this little like wall decor, and it said like, oh, the places you'll go. And then on the
Nice.
back he's like, keep going baby girl, like I love you, like all this stuff, like you will go far. And to me that kind of just like reframed my perspective, like don't doubt myself, like my family believes in me and I believe in myself, so I'm not going to let the outside noise ruin what I have the chance of doing. And so I really just like changed my regimen, was working as hard as I can, doing different things, going to camp, sending emails. And when Michigan gave me the opportunity, I did look at other places, but I couldn't turn this place down at all.
What a journey, and it makes it even more special. It's hard to go through it in those moments, but it makes you just cherish it even more. And I love that that's a part of your story that you're not afraid to share, because it is so real for so many players out there, specifically in the Midwest. Like I remember I played in a Wisconsin program before I went to the Beverly Bandits, and I had a dream also playing of Division 1 softball. And my coaches knew that and basically told my parents like, hey, like you might want to tell her like shoot for D3, like so she's not hurt someday. And so it's like I can 100% relate to you. And it's where can we switch the narrative of telling kids to dream as high as they possibly can for as long as they can, because it takes one person believing in yourself, and most of the times that's you.
Exactly. No, I 100% agree. Shoot for the stars, and it's your dream. You gotta run for it. That's how my mom would always tell me. She's like, I'll help you, but it's your dream, and you got to achieve it. So she was great support, but at the end of the day, it's you, and you have to believe it yourself.
Well, I love your dad's message, a little bit of Dr. Seuss in there. So now you get to Michigan and you are a senior. You have impacted this program in so many ways. Has it kind of hit you in these last few weeks about what a journey it's been in these 4 years?
Whew, Sydney, you're gonna make me cry. I don't want to cry yet.
Don't
But
worry, it's a safe place. I get it. I've been through it.
but yeah, I think now that the year is coming to an end, like I've finished all my classes, I really just have graduation left for me. It's definitely hitting me a little bit. I think this past weekend when we were at Penn State, they honored their seniors and also gave us leis and flowers for our seniors, and it kind of hit me like, wow, it's coming to an end. But I'm trying not to think about it because I want to stay in the present as much as possible. And when it's all said and done, I take the cleats off for the last time. That's when I told myself I can reflect. But I have a great feeling about this team, and I don't think we're done just yet. So I have a lot more time left before I have to start thinking about it.
Perfect. Well, we're only going to keep it to happy memories. I want to know, in a short reflection, but a positive one, what has been your favorite memory in these last 4 years? At the top of your head, the first thing you think of.
Oh, that is so so hard.
There's
Oh,
so many.
there is so many. Um, the first one that comes literally the top of my head was, I think this past year when Maddie Ramey hit the walk off. I think she is someone who comes in every day and just works so hard, and like finally seeing her get her opportunity was like the coolest thing ever. And I remember like I was sitting next to Chitty, and I'm like, she's gonna get a ball in her zone and she's gonna smash it. And then literally and then Chitty was like, the game knows. And the next pitch, she hits it out of the park. And I just like, I had like tears flowing for her because I was just like, she deserved it so much. And it was just like so cool to see like her success, like finally like pay off for her. And oh, if I had to think, like first thing that came to my mind was definitely that one for sure.
What I love is that when I ask you your favorite memory, it's a teammate of yours. Like that speaks volumes to who you are, and also this culture that has been created within your program. I've seen it be present with you guys forever, from when Carol Hutchins was taking over to Bonnie Thull. And what I also think is amazing is your coaching staff is so many former players, Faith Canfield, you mentioned Chitty. What is it like to be able to be coached under former players who've worn the jersey themselves?
Yeah, I think it really just adds to the tradition of Michigan Sulphide. I mean, we have so many traditions and things that like we pass down from team to team to team, and it's so cool like just hearing their memories and things that they did, and like to think that we still do those now. I mean, we still do some of the stuff that Bonnie did back when she played here, and to me that is just so cool. And one of my favorite things like we used to do is like my freshman year when I came in, I had to go back and look at every single person who wore the number 2 and read about them and like what they did. And I just thought that was like so cool. And just having him here just really adds to the family aspect, that even though I'm on team 47, that someone on team 5 is my family, and I know if I needed something I could give them a call.
That is such a great idea to be able to look back, and it makes you wear the number 2 in such a greater way. And I think one of my favorite parts about Michigan and your guys' program is how rich the history was. And you have, Carol Hutchins and also Bonnie Thole, who have been coaching for so long. They've seen the game evolve and also women's opportunities change tremendously. And I know that's something that Coach Hutch was very passionate about. I'm sure also in your time, just the message that she told you of like, look how lucky we are to play in a stadium, to have the game has grown in the way it has, because she's seen it where it wasn't this flashy side at all.
For sure, 100%.
Talk to me about what it was like having Coach Hutch as your leader. I know there's always great stories, and then also the transition and having Coach Thole now.
Yeah, I think Hutch, obviously the GOAT, amazing. I loved playing for her. I've known Hutch my entire life. She's just the best part is like, yeah, she's no longer coaching for us, but she's still around. She still comes to practice, still hangs out, still gives out her wisdom. And I just think every day she always made it a point, like you said, to like be grateful for what we have, but don't settle. Like there's still so much more growth in women's sports that we can make. And I think she just really taught all of us to be confident women and know that don't be satisfied and always reach for more, and hold your ground. And I'm forever grateful for that, and still great that I get to call her a mentor, someone I'm with all the time. She actually went down to DC with me this past January when I asked her to. So taking time out of her busy schedule to help a Wolverine is amazing, just like the person she is. And then the transition to Bonnie, honestly, really wasn't that different. I mean, like I said, our program is built on so many traditions, and Bonnie has been coaching for such a long time and has been Hutch's right woman. And so I just think that, yeah, Bonnie brought her own authentic self, and we do a tad things differently, but for the most part, we still stick to our standard and what it means to wear the block M across your chest. And I think that was something that I appreciate from Bonnie, because that transition can be hard when you change coaches. And she made it a very smooth transition. And by adding other Michigan people onto staff, it even helped because they kind of already had one foot in the door, kind of already knew what was going on because they've been through it themselves.
You mentioned that Coach Hutch came with you to DC. Tell me a little bit more. What was that for?
Yeah, so Representative Dingle, she works in the House of Representatives. Her district falls over the University of Michigan, and she is on a committee that was doing a congressional hearing about name, image, and likeness in all of NCAA. And she reached out to our athletic department, and the athletic department put forward my name and Sierra Brooks, who's on gymnastics, but she was in season at the time. And so I was like, okay, like I'll hear out what they have to say. Did not think I would have to fly to DC in the middle of the week to testify whatsoever. But it was such an amazing experience, and my coaches having my back, and I was just like, but I'll have to miss practice. They're like, you could practice on a Sunday for all I care. Like, we'll change your off day. Like, you go. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And so I went down there, and we kind of just talked about the landscape of NIL and kind of what are some pros of NIL and like things we need to keep, but what are some cons that kind of put student athletes in a difficult situation. And just being able to voice my opinion was amazing. And just being up there with some great people was so cool.
Within that once in a lifetime experience, that's incredible. And I'm curious of your thoughts and things that you did share because NIL is changing rapidly. College athletics is changing every single day. We're seeing more teams being bought per se. Tell
Hmm.
me, what's your experience like as an athlete with that, and what are some of your feelings, teammates' feelings around it?
Yeah, I would say I like I personally like NIL just because I do play an equivalency sport, so we're not a head count sport, like full scholarships aren't a thing. So it's nice to be able to get some money. But it is tough when someone like a coach tries to go on the transfer portal and they want to get this kid, but then they can't offer them X amount of dollars to come here. So that's like really tough because now it doesn't even turn into, oh, I'm going to get my education. It's how much
Mhm.
money can this school give me?
Right.
So that perspective has really changed. And I think it puts some schools at a disadvantage because some schools don't have that money. A lot of the mid majors are going to get washed out, which is tough because those those kids have the opportunity, and these big schools can just cherry pick their best players. And then so we talked a little bit about that and how it's really affecting the transfer portal, and so many kids are in it um, to get the money, which is sad. But you never know what someone's home life is. Maybe they need that money, so that's like the flip side of it. Maybe they need to send that money home to family. I think another thing I talked about was just that with the growth of NIL and like revenue sharing and all that, I think it'd be very difficult to revenue share and give everybody money because here at Michigan we have 29 sports. I don't know
Mhm.
how the athletic department would run if they don't get all that money to fund all the sports here. But then I feel for the guys that are making the millions for the university. So it's such a double-edged sword because like you see both sides, but it's so hard to get the right answer. And I just think some guardrails do definitely need to be put up because each state has different legislation around it. So, like, one state's legislation could allow them to almost use it as a recruiting tactic, where other states it's illegal to use it as a recruiting tactic. And so, making it a way for all the states to be on a level playing field, I think, would help out everyone to not be at such an advantage or disadvantage. But yeah, I think it's a NIL is not going anywhere, but some changes could be made so everybody can benefit and not just this person or this stakeholder, but everybody can all benefit together to make it a great thing.
I think you hit every nail on the head in terms of there is so many pros and cons on both sides. And it started off in a really great way where, athletes could be able to host their own camps, give lessons, use their name and sell jerseys. But we've seen it just been taken and absolutely ran with it. And now I think it's the question, like we're seeing all these, pro athletes contracts every year, they get bigger and bigger. That's going to be college athletics within every single contract. Every team and alumni are going to want their championship team. So it's like, where can this go? Nobody really knows, which is
Yeah.
going to be interesting to follow. But in going back to your team, I mentioned it at the beginning. It's a neck and neck race right now. Obviously, I'm sure that's something that you guys have talked about. How are you balancing knowing what the situation is and then just also trying to stay focused one game at a time this weekend?
Yeah. I think something like our team, like we actually like don't talk about it. One thing Bonnie always says is we need to be we centric. We can't control what other teams are doing, what happens to other teams. Like all we can do is worry about ourselves and play one pitch softball. And so really, I think our team is just honing in, and the 30 like staff and players, all 30 of us, and kind of just this is our bubble and this is all we care about, and whatever happens happens. And as long as we go out and we play our game, it's out of our hands. So I think yeah, we've really just been focusing on who's our next opponent, and they're just in our way. So that's what we've really been thinking about.
An exciting weekend this weekend. After that, you guys go to, the Big Ten conference tournament, also another big opportunity for your team, and then postseason. And there's something that you said earlier in the podcast that I loved of There is so much left for this team. When you think about goals, where do you see this team potentially being able to go?
Yeah, I think we have a really gritty team, and a lot of people wanted to count us out, but I think this team has a chance for a run at the World Series, and I wholeheartedly believe that, and I know my teammates believe that, and as long as we believe that, and our momentum is our belief, that's all that matters to us.
To anyone who has counted you guys out, they obviously can't now, but what would be your message to them of being like, this is what Michigan softball is, this is what we do?
Yeah, I think this has always been what Michigan softball is, and yeah, last year we had a tough season, but I think we all took a step back and reflected and realized that that's not Michigan softball, and we needed to be better. And I think we all took that to heart, and we went to work in, and I think we're in a good place, and that's all I really got to say.
With how last season went, does it make this season even more sweeter? I know last year was hard, but you mentioned you guys went to work and now kind of experiencing what you went through and then come out on the other side. Like, do you feel that even more proud?
Yeah, I do. I think because we have such a young team, I would say, and I give so much credit to a lot of our underclassmen. I mean, everybody on the team, but our underclassmen have just showed out, and it's almost like they're not even underclassmen to me. Like they're almost like vets sometimes. I mean, they do have so much more room to grow, but just how much they've contributed and how much energy and leadership they bring at such a young age. I'm excited for this year, but I'm even more excited to see what this team does down the line when all of them have grown to their fullest potential and have taken this team by their reins.
Well, lastly, one more question because it is your senior weekend and happy senior week, by the way.
Yeah.
What is the legacy that you want to leave within however many weeks are left of the season?
Are you saying like my personal legacy or like
Your
team
personal
legacy?
legacy within Michigan.
Yeah, within Michigan, I think my legacy probably would just be that just keep your head down and work hard and give your love to the game and play the game the right way, and the game will pay you back. Um, and just know that you are great at what you do, and don't ever let softball define that whatsoever. Because when you come to Michigan, you don't come here for 4 years, you come here for life. And I just want everybody to experience that. And I hope that my teammates realize that I love them so much, whether they batted 1,000 on the day or didn't, but that I love them, each and every single one of them, and that when it's all said and done, we'll just laugh about all these memories, and we'll be able to make new ones off the field together.
Keke, that was such a special message. And I can't thank you enough for not only how you've grown the Big Ten, but growing the game. And you're somebody who's going to be a face of softball and around the game forever. Like you said, this game never leaves you. And I think that's the greatest part that as a former player, you will just continue to experience. But happy senior weekend. Enjoy every single moment of it. Best of the luck the entire way through. Here at Supple America, we love following you in Michigan and we are excited to see what you guys do next.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sydney. I really appreciate it.
Of course, well, thank you all for tuning into another week. Excited to break down who the champions are after this weekend. So stay tuned and tune in next week.